Okay, hello. I'm not sure if anyone can hear me. I'm not sure if I'm live. I hope that I'm live. I think that I'm live. It's been a minute since I've done this, so sorry for the delay, but I think we're working now. I think we're good. So, my name is Charles, or Chaz, or Yazik to some. Some even know me as Charlie from way back in the day on my YouTube channel. So, um, I am here starting the first of hopefully many episodes of Bard Advice, which is going to be a weekly podcast where I answer questions and give advice on D&D, life in general. So we're going to see how it goes. I can't promise that the advice is going to be good or coherent, but it's just really kind of fun. I think it's just something that the community kind of needs, just a place where we can kind of just like talk about stuff. And hello, everyone. Hello from Texas. And thank you for coming. First of all, I appreciate it. There's a lot of you. There's a lot more of you than I thought there would be. So thank you for coming. Let's start. I have an easy one for the first question. So, well, at least an easy one, I think. I don't know. I think it's fun. Let's see what it is. I have to pull up my thing. Bear with me, please. I have to pull up my thing here to be able to read the thing. But this question is, oh, wait a minute. I have the thing here. This question is from Megan. So first of all, I should mention this, and I didn't set this up to put on the screen, which I really should have done. But if you do have any questions that you'd like answered, I am going to periodically talk to chat when I can. But if you do have any questions that you'd like answered or any advice or anything that's on your mind, send it over to bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice, which is like the kind of the most bard thing ever. So I think that worked out. I am a bard technically because I do primarily bring in my income from entertainment, music, etc. So, welcome everybody from Canada, Texas, Washington, Michigan. If I didn't see you, hello, welcome. Okay, so let's get started. So we're gonna do. I'm gonna ignore that from YouTube. Okay, so this is from Megan. She asks, I don't personally play D&D, but my brother does. What would be some good Christmas gifts for him? What types of things would you love to receive, especially if you already had all the basic gear? Well, that's usually the problem, right, with D&D stuff, because people that play D&D they usually have everything they need. unless your brother is a brand new player, he probably has a lot of stuff. You can never go wrong with dice, ever. Dice are always good. Everybody loves dice all the time. You can always use more dice. There's no such thing as too many dice. Always get dice. Yeah, I'm seeing in chat gift certificates. That was the next thing I was going to say. Like any of the definitely like Hero Forge. Is it Hero Forge? Is that what they're called? The custom mini company. I'm sure there's a lot more of them now. But that's a dope one because it adds for personalization. You get some Man Shorts merch. Yeah, there's a good opportunity for a plug. You can go over to manshorts.com and get yourself some merch. That would be good. So, I would say dice, you can't go wrong. Dice towers. What's some of the stuff I'm seeing in the chat? Yeah, like a roll tray, scenery for 3D battle space. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, like any kind of like maps and stuff, tactile stuff is always cool. Homemade items, custom GM screen. Yeah, that's a good one. That'd be a really nice gift. And that's, with Christmas coming up, that's a good question. You can order a figure from Hero Forge, a barbarian that looks like your brother. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because, Hero Forge does offer pretty good customization, a lot better now than it used to be. Etsy has a ton of D&D swag. Yeah, I would say that just in general, and this should be just kind of a rule of thumb across the board, but like especially during the holidays, if you're spending money for Christmas, or any other holidays, like try and spend that money at like some of these smaller online D&D businesses. Like with Etsy you can get straight to people directly, but like our sponsor World Anvil, that's a really great software, and that's that they're a small company. It's a husband and wife that own it. They're great people. So yeah, you could set up a World Anvil membership for them, and you could use our code MANSHORTS at checkout for a discount. But I didn't expect this to turn into as much of plugs as it did, but I guess it makes sense. We're talking about spending money, so that's the short answer. Really, is that I would say do dice or gift certificates. Can't go wrong with that. And yeah, we do actually have our own custom dice. But oh yeah, I think that we did sell out of them. I actually have some laying around. Maybe I should figure out a way to get those out, do like a giveaway or something. I do have a handful of sets that are still just kind of like lying around the house. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Megan. Let's see. Let me check. I'm just trying to take a look at chat here and see what's going on. PHB, asking to start for how to get started. Yeah, PHB. PHB is going to be your Bible. And then, I like Tasha's. There's a lot more books now than there used to be for 5e, which is a good thing. You have more options there. So, that might be something else too to consider, Megan, is books. If there are any books, any kind of publications that he doesn't already have, because that's always cool. Okay, so let's move on. I've got a bunch of questions lined up here. I'm not really, I appreciate all of the love, everybody. Thank you. I'm not really sure about how I want to do this as far as this pod show thing goes, like as far as the format. So feedback is really appreciated on that. Of course, you can send all of that stuff too to bardadvice@gmail.com or bardadvice. I'm going to have to challenge myself to put that into a rap lyric and figure out how to do like a bardadvice pun. I mean, it's in there. That joke is in there. You just have to look for it and find it. Thank you. Yeah, find a beginner's D&D group. Yeah, check out your friendly local gaming store. You probably have one. If you don't have one in your immediate town, there's probably one in a nearby town. That's where all the nerds are. So you can find, and that's the cool thing about D&D, which kind of separates it, I think, from like especially the video game community, because the video game community, not that it is, but it can be kind of toxic. D&D, like most people, pretty much everybody in D&D is cool and welcoming, and we want new players. We want to expand the community. So yeah, I'd say check out your FLGS. That's easy work. They could take care of you there. Okay, so the next question that I got from John. There are a couple of different questions in this question. I originally wanted it to be the first question, but I think that Megan's question was a better first question. John, I think we needed to wait a second until we kind of got a little bit warmed up and into things. We've been going now for a couple of minutes, so I think that we're good to get into the real, like, D&D questions that we should expect to see on this kind of show moving forward. So John asks, I'm part of a party that just walked into a tavern. There's the usual makeup of players. I'm the bard of the group, and we are down on our coin. Is it all right for me to play a set at the tavern and not share the money with the group, or just a percentage? Also, should I try to sleep with the elf ranger in our party, or would that make adventuring weird? Thanks, love the show. Thank you, John. Thank you for your question. So there's a couple of questions there. There's a few things to unpack. So the first piece is it all right for you to play a set at the tavern and not share the money with the rest of the group? It might sound like a cop-out answer, but I think that's really more... I'll say this. what I say to anybody when they ask about like what should I do, it's like, ask your character that question, right? So you're asking like, well, should I play a set and then earn money and like keep it on the down low from the rest of the party? It's like, well, would your character do that? Because if they would, then I shouldn't say if they would, you should, because that's just going to open a whole like portal to hell from those people that are like, well, that's what my character would do. But I think there is truth and merit to that. Like, ask your character if they would do that. Is it going to create a problem in the party? If it is, then, oh, whoa, no. Oh, no, my whole YouTube just crashed. But I don't think that I don't know if I stopped or not. Am I still live? I don't know. I can't see the chat. Am I still here? Okay. That was bizarre. My Google Chrome has been crashing a lot lately. Super bizarre. Okay, I totally lost my train of thought. We were talking about playing the thing without telling the rest of the party. So if it's going to create an issue within the party, I don't know. I'm a bad person to ask that kind of question because, like, I live for the drama. I legitimately create characters that are just like their whole. Yeah, I know. I've heard that before about Chrome. I'll probably end up doing that. But I'll just create a whole messy monster type character that just is there to just interfere with stuff. Like Studebaker Peppercorn is that way. Studebaker Peppercorn was like this 100-year-old turtle who like didn't know where he was half the time. So like he was kind of a liability because he would just start wandering off in the middle of conversations. And like during battle, he would just start cobbling shoes because he was a cobbler. So, yeah, I think it depends on what your character would do. And there was an additional part of that. What was there was another part of that, the just a percentage. Again, I mean, that's, I think, a question for your character and how it would affect the rest of the party. Now, moving on to the next part of the question, which is, should you try to sleep with the Elf Ranger in our party? That, I think, depends on the actual players. As to their level of comfort with you doing that kind of stuff. Because I think I think that as D&D has like expanded and gotten more popular, and there's this huge online community now, there's kind of like rules that are being established as terms of like how we talk about D&D in public and what we want D&D to be in public. But at the end of the day, like, your table, your rules, your house, your rules. It's like these like dudes that get on like TikTok and they're so aggro, like because D&D 1 is trying to be like more inclusive and like care about people's feelings. And it's like, look, man, if they want to do that, that's fine. They can do that. Like, if you want to be like a weirdo about how you play the game, you could still do that. Like, those old versions still exist. I mean, I know that I'm like the poster child for complaining about 5e and like yearning for the days of 3.5, but 3.5 still exists. If I want to go play it, I can go play it. I'm not mad at 5e for ruining 3.5 when I can still go play 3 and 5. Still play 3.5 rather. I think I totally missed this question about the elf. Yeah, it's a question of comfort for everybody at the table. So I would say that out of character, as a person, just as a human, I would talk to not only that person, but also the rest of the party. This is just what I would do. I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm not saying that you should be like reprimanded if you don't do this, but this is just how I would approach it, because I've done this kind of thing before. If you're confident in what your relationship is with these people, in terms of like them knowing that you're not just being a creep and like you're doing it for the character and that they're okay with that, then I say go for it. But I don't think do it just to, that kind of thing can get messy. because then you're not only messing with the party, you're messing with people in real life. Like if you offended somebody by being a creep and they weren't like aware that was going to happen, that could be like not a really cool look for you as a person. So I would say just like keep people in mind as to like how that would make them feel. But yeah, if it's a group of friends where you guys have all been playing together for a really long time and you know each other well, and like it's a non-issue, and you're only asking for like plot purposes, like again, I say go for that kind of stuff. Like if it's just a question of like, should I do this for the purpose of the story? Like almost always do the thing. Although there is value to consider that, asking the question, there's a reason there's hesitation there. And that makes me wonder if it's because of like what your comfort level is with these people. Like if you don't really know these people that well, if you've been playing with them for a couple of weeks, like at the store or something, like I wouldn't do it. Or at a minimum, I would like ask. So, but that's just like my opinion, man. So thank you, John. What else is going on in chat? Man, that was so bananas where the whole thing just crashed and like I didn't lose the stream, which is, I don't understand. Don't piss off players unless it makes the game better for everyone in the long run. That's true. If it's just for shock value, it's not for the story. Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that too. Like, and because I've been that dude who did it for shock value. But, with my group of friends, we've all been friends and been playing together for 15 years. I mean, gosh, Rigsby, the guy that plays Waylon on the channel, Rigsby and I have known each other since 8th grade. So, yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable with the people, go balls to the wall. But if it's like a new group or you don't know them that well, I'd be really weary about it. I would definitely at least bring it out. Yeah, I am ancient. Yeah, dude, I'm 35. I'm hanging in there. I'm not that old. I feel a lot older. Man, I miss being 25 and like complaining about my age and feeling old. We're waiting. Where's Justin? I don't know where he's waiting. Because we're right here, man. The party's right here. A friend and I did it for the roleplay that came throughout the adventure. Yeah, I mean, also, yeah, if it comes organically, just use your best judgment. Channel has brought you much needed laughter. Good, I'm glad. That's the goal. That's the goal, is to make people laugh. Played 2E in 2 groups for almost 20 years. Played all the kids. Hell yeah. Nice. It's nice to see some of the OG crowd, the AD&D and like the OD&D people playing it back before, like... back when it was like, they said that you would like, it would like, the demon would take your soul. We don't have a Discord server, but we should. I think I had a server for that world building thing that I was going to do, but ended up not doing it. Never played a D&D, anxiety issues. I hear that, dude. I have major anxiety issues. Although fortunately I'm not socially anxious. I'm pretty good about being able to like talk to people, but it doesn't make it any less nerve-wracking. Love the show. It's good to see you live. Process when you craft your lyrics. Oh no. Okay. Let's talk about that. My process when I craft my lyrics. I just put a beat on, repeat, and just let it sit. I usually don't write things down until I get like 6 to 8 bars. And then I'll jot it down on my phone. But I usually memorize it as I write. So, video isn't playing anymore. Looks like it's still playing for me. I don't know. Is anybody else still there? But it can be a good tool for overcoming difficulties with talking to people. Yeah, that's true. You're kind of forced to. I don't have a TikTok just for my raps, but I probably should do that. Or I should at least separate it in playlists. Man, I have so much fun on TikTok. That thing is like, West Side of Puget Sound, lyrics and flow are sick. Thank you. Yeah, the lyrical thing is just, I just sit with them. I just sit with the beat, just let it sit. And then I just figure it out. I will say that I do have a tendency to write in a rhyme scheme wherein the end of a phrase, the end of a particular phrase or line will rhyme with the beginning of a particular line or phrase that comes after it. So as a result, if I can remember the first couple of words to a verse, then I could remember the whole verse, because it all just kind of flows. Like once I hit one of the rhymes, then I know what all the other ones are around it. You know, I have really good recognition. I have trash recall. It's really, really bad. But I have really good recognition. I can pattern recognition. And I can remember stuff pretty well, I guess. So let's move on to a different question that we got from the email. And remember, I will put the email thing on here. I don't know why I don't have it on here. Next time it'll be available, but send any questions to bardadvice@gmail.com. I'm going to do my best to, throughout the week, go through those and pick some out and set them aside for the episode, because try to answer some people's questions, give them some advice. Music edition. We did do a musician edition a couple years back. Okay, so the next question is from Jared, and this is another longer one. So Jared asks, I've been playing with the same group of people for many years, alternating between games like D&D 5e, Werewolf, and Scion 2, or Scion, I guess. And two players are notorious for something I call main character syndrome. They feel like they have to be the one the game revolves around. I can explain that it's not their responsibility to move plot along, involve other characters, or to give other people a chance to talk without sounding offensive. I mean, I think that you just communicated it to me without being offensive. I probably would feel different if I was the person. But, I mean, it doesn't seem like you, at least from your question, from what little I can gather from the question, you don't seem to be a rude person. So it sounds like this might be a concern because they're old friends. If I may be wrong about this, but I'm just assuming based on the info I've gotten, this sounds like a scenario where, like, you're a DM, or I mean, you're a DM and you have a group, right? And some of the group is like maybe some of your older friends you've been friends with for longer, you have more experience playing with, and then you've got some people who are maybe newer. That's tough. Because the main character syndrome thing, the main character syndrome thing really wouldn't affect you if you were in a party where everybody kind of knew what was happening, right? So like this is probably a problem because these are newer players who either feel like they're intimidated by the more experienced players, so they're not stepping in, taking their storytelling. I mean, at the end of the day, like, as the DM, it's your world, so I'd say just talk to him. I'd say to just talk to him just like you just asked me. I think you should just say, what did your question say? Let's pull it up again. What did this say? Explain to them it's not their responsibility to move plot along, involve other characters, or to give other people a chance to talk. Yeah. I mean, I think you should just say that. I think that that's how you explain it. How you do it is you do it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's what they say. I mean, you're going to have to do it eventually, right? And better you, like, do it before it comes out in game, because that would be annoying, right? That would suck to have, like, I've been there, to have, like, a meltdown screaming match in game. Yeah, don't bottle that up. Just talk about it. And I think that you do it just how you did it with me. I think that's what you say. You just be like, hey, listen, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I would do. I would just say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about some things that I've been feeling, and just let me say my piece. I'm just going to say a couple of things, and then I would like to hear what your reaction is. Whether you answer them one at a time. Well, you can ask in here, Victoria, because I might be able to get. I might be able to get to it. You never know. Actually, I could probably just answer it right away. But I, you know them better than I do. So as to whether you do it with them individually or together, maybe better to do it individually because it doesn't give them the chance to gang up on you, because that might happen. Not to scare you, but that's a possibility, right? You have to prepare for those outcomes. They could be pissed. They could be like, what are you talking about? We don't want to play with you anymore. That might happen. It probably won't, though. What more likely will happen is that they weren't even aware of the problem, right? Like, I don't think the people that do the main character syndrome thing, for the most part, do it maliciously or even knowingly. They probably just want to enjoy the game. And if you're in a situation, like I mentioned, where you've got super experienced players and also players that aren't as experienced, that can definitely happen. Where, you know, the more experienced players kind of feel a little steamrolled. What would the best race class combo for a character entirely governed by chance? Ooh, I like that question. A character governed by chance. Well, it might be fun to do like an edgelord rogue, but that would get annoying fast. The DM would love that. As a DM, I would love a rogue that, like, elaborate on that. What does that mean? What would be the best governed entirely by chance? What does that mean? Like, because all characters are governed by chance, right? With the dice and such. Do you mean that there are like additional ways that chance affects this person? Like halflings getting lucky? Because I don't know. Man, 3-5 accounted for so much of this stuff, like arcane tricksters, dude. Yeah, I was thinking spell casting. My knee jerk is to say bard, but thank you, Drew Dan. I appreciate it. I'll have to see more of what Victoria means by that. But what is this most embarrassing D&D moment? Oh, I don't know. Some of my rap songs are no longer available on Spotify in the US because the distributor that I currently have for my music is messing it up. They've dropped the ball. So as a result, I have to change I have to shift music from one distributor to another, and that process takes a while. So unfortunately, Attack of Opportunity is not available on Spotify in the US. I don't know why. I can't get an answer from anybody. I haven't been able to get an answer from anybody for a long time. So I'm in the process of switching that over. Have you been able to world build a world as crazy as Florida? And or when are you going to release a Florida supplement? You know, that's a really good question, because I was just recently, within the last few weeks, having a conversation about building out a Florida supplement, about building out like a Man Shorts Florida supplement that you could apply to. Well, I mean, I guess it would be for 5e or for 1. But I mean, maybe we could write it in such a way where you could just kind of like throw it on top of anything. You just put anything on there. Instrumental versions. Yeah, I'll look into that as well. And Chris says, why are dwarves such good stone makers? Because they never take anything for granted. So, I think that we got to the answer with Jared. I think you just gotta be honest with him. Probably better to talk to him one at a time. And just put it out there. Because, I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen. And it's much better that you just address it and deal with it and bite the bullet and rip the Band-Aid off than for it to come out in another way later. That'd be no fun. When you play with your close friends for so long, how comfortable do you feel about trying new systems? Friends and I are trying Suede for the first time. So try them. Yeah. Try anything. I think some of my more fond memories with like RPGs have been like, we played that Wicked Pax game a while ago, when Justin DM'd that Sidewinder RPG. Like, some of my more fond memories with playing are with D20 Modern, like, so yeah, and especially these days, there's way more stuff now, and like a Spelljammer, obviously, but like, yeah, I would encourage to try other systems. I really like the Wicked Pack system and the way that they do like skill rolls. I really like that more, actually. Like, the D20, I think is obviously should be your main tool to roll, but Wicked Packs, when it comes to like skills and stuff, Wicked Packs offers a different, an alternative rolling system for that I actually prefer when it comes to specific skills and stuff. Yes, we have considered doing a single edition for each state. In fact, that's probably in the works. I mean, we have done I know I want to do a Michigan. We did do a Texas. I know I want to do a Michigan just because Michigan is like the Florida of the North. And I did live in Michigan briefly. Best place to start learning the game, I'd say, is at your friendly local game store. Look for board games. Look for board games in your local area. You'll find a store, and the people in there will help you. Okay. So we've got another question. Thank you, Jared, and everybody else that's sent in a question, and of course everybody that's here. This next question, 1, 2, 3, I've got my little thing set up here, is from Lauren. And Lauren asks, do you have any suggestions for somebody that's in a new D&D group with a newbie DM that keeps flaking on scheduled sessions? Oh, story of everyone in this community's life. I really like my character, and we all want to play, but suddenly the DM just isn't into it. I don't want to abandon the campaign, and I don't want to have any experience DMing, or excuse me, I don't have any experience DMing except with my kids, so I just don't know what to do. Well, that happens. Why is the new DM flaking? Is something going on in their life? Are they freaking out because they don't have their story together? Did you say this is their first time DMing? Is that right? Newbie DM, yeah. So DMing is intimidating. It is not the same as playing as a PC. It's very, very different. There's a lot more pressure. The trouble with this game in general when it comes to flaking is that all of us are adults. We have lives. Things are going on. Stuff comes up. Things happen. Obviously, real life takes priority to D&D. But that said, like, if they're actively being flaky, maybe you try to find. Maybe my first advice would be to maybe try to find out why. Without insinuating anything, maybe just kind of like reach out and be like, "Is everything okay?" Like, express that you're concerned because, you want to play. It's tough. Being the DM's a lot of responsibility. Nobody wants to do it. Yeah. Chat's saying DMing can be very exhausting. Yeah, 100%. So I would say, is there another stream in Limbo going? I don't know. Probably. Yes, Avram. I don't know what is up with this stuff. I feel like just the fuddiest of duddies, just the oldest man when it comes to technology. I don't know how it happened. I grew up around it, but I just don't get stuff with the streaming. But hopefully next time that'll be resolved, because I think that I should just be able to turn it on. Take turns for me in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I think that, you could always, the first thing that you need to do is talk to this person that's the DM and try and get an understanding for what's going on. It could just be life, in which case, like, if you really need to get your fix that bad, then go to a local store or try to find a game online when it comes to playing, which I know is probably not the greatest answer, but I mean, that's the reality. If this person's going to be flaky, I've had tons of games that just kind of, they just flake out. And once you miss one session, it gets way easier to miss two. And then before you know it, it's like, we haven't played D&D in 6 months. So yeah, I would just reach out and be like, what's going on? Is there a problem? Maybe they're nervous. Maybe they have maybe there's a reason that, they've been flaking out. Or, maybe they're just not aware that it's as important to you. Maybe for them, they're just kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal. But you're like, hey, I want to play. I think that the biggest thing I could tell you is just try and communicate honestly and kindly as best you can. And, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out and you just try and find another game. But, okay. Offer to run a side game to give them some time. Be sure to let them know you enjoy their game. Yeah, I like that. That's good. From Nerd Herder Pro. Maybe instead of maybe instead of asking outright, you present it as like, hey, what if would it be cool with you if, like, since we're not playing this week, if we just like ran like a little side thing? There's an idea. Because that kills two birds with one stone in the sense of, like, communicating. Maybe that'll light a fire. I don't know. You do what you think is best. But, yeah, I think just communicating to them and letting them know how you feel will help give you the answer as to. That's how you become the forever DM. Alrighty. So. Started another game for when the regular miss. Yeah, that is not a bad idea. If you've got a scenario where you've got other people that are available and it's just kind of like the one person that's flaky, then just, you can build it into a game. You can build it into the rules that way, where you're either doing something that's separate from the story, or something just completely unrelated entirely. Yeah, Princess Bride. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'm not opposed to that. We might put that together. That'd be really fun to do. Which is harder, writing a skit, preparing a D&D session, or writing lyrics? Writing a skit. 100%. Writing is the most stressful thing. The jokes. The lyrics is not that. The lyrics kind of just flows. Because especially since I've been doing it for so long, it's an exercise like anything else. But like, when it comes to writing the lyrics, it's just like if I'm putting down like a particular line or an idea or a thought, like I already kind of know at least a good amount of words that rhyme with it going into it, like once I have it. So it's just, I don't know, comedy and music are similar in the way that, like, you don't really pin, it's about finding it and pinning it down, more than like creating it from scratch, if that makes sense. Comics talk about that, about how like the jokes are just out there and they just kind of like catch them. And lyrics are that way too, especially with rap, right? Because it's like, sure, it's a huge number, but there's a finite number of words and like sounds that can be made with the mouth that rhyme and have distinct different meanings. So, it's just a matter of doing it over and over and over. But writing the jokes is harder. Does having a regular group of collaborators help with script? Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, 100%. I couldn't write half of the stuff that I do without Justin. Plans to create a Man Shorts origin video. Oh, that could be fun. Timing is king in rhyme and comedy. Yeah, that's true. That's true too. There are a lot of similarities there. It's a very similar dance in that way. Like it is very, it's very much about timing and delivery and So, yeah. But I would rather have to write 10 songs than a sketch. I think, too, because there's more pressure for me artistically, right? Like, I don't know. I'll have to think on that before I give it a real answer. But at the moment, the answer is lyrics are easiest. Okay. So I do want to get to some other questions that I had here for this particular episode so that nobody gets missed. Let's see. We've heard from Megan, John, Jared, and then that last one was Lauren. So this next question is from an Ashley. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Okay, let's see if I can get this one up. Okay, here it is. I know you're a rapper and you also have acoustic guitar, singer, songwriter stuff, i.e. Beauregard, Gallencroft Thicket. I've also seen some of your acoustic songs and old videos on your Yazik YouTube channel. Do you play any other instruments besides guitar, or do you have a background playing/writing other kinds of music? Yeah. So I have had a musical background most of my life. When I was 6, I played piano, but not like seriously. I just like took lessons from the music teacher at the school. Then when I was in the 6th grade, I started playing the saxophone. Played that through school. In high school, I played and marched saxophone 3 years, and then senior year I played and marched tuba with Rigsby. Rigsby also started on sax, but he played tuba for longer than me. Rigsby switched to tuba in like 10th grade. During that time, I had a ska band in high school that I founded and then eventually left. Then in my late teens, early 20s, Justin and Rigsby and I and several others were in a band that originally was a screamo emo band. And then over the years, we would end up being like a prog rock, very like Chili Pepper funk type band. So, and yeah, I have a relatively extensive catalog of acoustic music. I do need to put together an album for that, if for no other person than for my mother, who has asked me for it. So I know that it's on my list of things that I need to make. So, messy goblins, slob goblins. Played percussion. Oh, cool. Who did the screaming bit? Oh, Justin. Justin was our lead singer / screamer, who didn't have a ska band. Well, I mean, I guess if you're talking like people that were in band, everybody, yeah. Grimm Fairy Tale, that'd be cool. South Park. Who do you think would be Cartman? I think we know who would be Cartman. I was actually thinking about like, well, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil the surprise. Did you ever do a cover of Sound of Silence? No. But we did in high school, actually, one of the years for our marching band, we did Sound of Simon. It was all Paul Simon songs. I think that was our senior year. Lego is accepting submissions for D&D themed idea sets. Oh, that'd be cool to get like like a Man Shorts Lego set. 5 a.m. in Italy. Cheers from tomorrow morning. Dude, this person's coming to us from the future. So that's my musical background. I started rapping in 2009. So I didn't start rapping until I was like in my 20s. And I don't really know what prompted it. Actually, that's not true. Wax, which I don't know if anybody knows the rapper Wax, but if you don't, Wax is dope. Wax did that that shit that he does in the car. I think it's called New Crack. But if you search like Wax New Crack, you should be able to find it. It's an old video, but it's Wax in the car just doing a track, and it is so good, and it made me want to rap, so I started rapping. So I've been rapping ever since. And I got a lot of Wax, not Dax. Although Dax is dope too. But yes, Wax. Thank you for all your videos. You are welcome. Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, I'd love to talk to wizards. I think I may or may not have upset them. I don't know. But if I haven't, and someone from Wizards is out there listening, definitely feel free to hit me up. I'd be happy to work with you. Okay, so we just got a couple of more questions here. I do have one that we've got from I made this confusing, so I think I want to do the easier question first. So this, I believe, is from Dan. And Dan asks, do you include things like encumbrance, food and water, spell material, components in your regular games? I find many of these details annoying and try to leave them out as much as possible. I think that that's totally cool. I'm not a huge raw guy. Like, I'm not real big about rules as written. I attach to the Gygax quote of, the trick that we can never let the dungeon masters know is that they don't need the rules. Something to that effect. Yeah, I think that it's totally up to you. I personally, as a player, take into account those kind of things like food and water and encumbrance, like how much weight I'm carrying and stuff. But that's just like, I think, a personal preference for RP. Like, if you don't want to be if you don't want to keep track of it, don't keep track of it. It's not, I mean, there's so many rules that people just like completely ignore or don't know exists. Like, it took us like 4 years to understand like all of the different stuff with grappling in 3.5, and like there are still some questions floating out there about how that stuff works. So like, I think it's a personal preference thing. I will say, if you do include those kind of things, if you decide like you opt to, if you want to include those things, they can be a really good tool to combat like any kind of like OP edgelord type players who don't think about that kind of stuff. Because like, trust, if somebody is like putting all of their effort into like this super epic backstory and like basically making their player as like as efficient as possible when it comes to like DPR, they're probably not going to be paying attention to the fact that they're like over encumbered, or that like or put them in a scenario where they need like a really mundane item like a piece of rope and that they just don't have it. You really don't need, I think, to worry so much about the food and water, but I mean, it can occasionally be helpful if you want to just like starve your power gamer. Don't listen to much rap aside from Coolio and Doom, but my recent stuff is lit. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am working on new stuff. I'm trying to get a third album together. It's slower. That process is slower than I want it to be, but I am working on it actively. So, collaborating with other D&D skit YouTubers. Yeah, we have collabed with a couple. I would like to work with Will from D&D Shorts more. We have been in contact, so I have, hopefully we can get something going there. There's a couple others that if we haven't spoken to directly, that's going to be coming. We're going to try and start making some more short form content. Never really used encumbrance in any D&D campaign. It becomes use common sense. You can't carry 15 large chests. Yeah, I think that that's true. I do think that things like food and water should be conditional. Yeah, I think it's all up to you at your table in your house. Logistics mule question. If you enjoy it, awesome. As a DM, if you ask me, I will tax you and allow you to ignore the rule for the basics, or wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and don't ask again. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good piece of advice for players. Like, don't ask. Like, don't be like, hey, is it okay if I do this even though it over encumbers me? Because 9 times out of 10, the DM is going to be like, no, you can't do that. But like, if you just do the thing, the DM probably won't notice. And then it's like, new album when I don't have a date yet. And I probably won't give a date because that hasn't worked out for me in the past. I don't know what's going on with my music, Flint. I don't know about that either, with the YouTube channel on my music. I don't know what's going on with that either. But again, I can't get an answer out of my distributor. So I think that the short answer is going to be to just change distributors, and hopefully that'll fix it. Yazik and Watsky collab. Psh, I'd love to work with Watsky. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not really big on the on the food and water and encumbrance myself, so I think it's just a personal preference. So, we do have one more question here that I'd like to get to before we start wrapping up, because we've actually been streaming now for quite a bit, close to an hour, it's gone by pretty quickly. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed themselves. Please send questions to bardadvice@gmail.com, and I will go through them, put together. Keeps saying, let's get to the next question, then keeps getting distracted. Yeah, that's the story of my life. So, this last question is from Cody. And Cody asks, I'm attempting to write my own campaign. I have a beginning and a potential end, but I am very stuck. How do you plan for every possible variable? You don't. And if you're the DM, you'll be lucky to plan for half of the variables. Or even like 35%. If you can if like a third of the campaign goes the way that you wanted it to, that's a huge win. You can't. You just can't. And if you spend time worrying about how to do it, I think that'll ultimately, you'll end up wasting time that could have been better spent at enriching, the stuff that you are putting together, because it's just the unfortunate reality of the group dynamic dependent on the party. When you're putting together a campaign, like, you don't really know you don't really know who the leader's gonna be. I mean, maybe you do if you have experience with the party, in which case you can prepare for more. But I would say to not worry about being able to prepare for everything, because some of the stuff that I've said this before, I think on a TikTok, like the amount of effort that I have put into stuff that has then not gone the way that I wanted, versus the number of times that I have gotten so much fulfillment and enjoyment from something that just happened on the fly. Like, my experience over my years of playing and knowing, like, the data between those two occurrences is just to say that, like, you can't prepare for everything, so just enjoy it. Try and enjoy it the best you can. You make plans so that your party can ruin them. That's basically what your job is as the DM. You give them a world, you ask them what they want to do with it, and then you just kind of have to deal. But that said, like, don't be afraid to railroad. I railroad the shit out of people all the time. I don't care. It's like that. It's like, look, we would have been here 3 sessions ago, but you guys wanted to go explore this, and then we did that. But now it's time to get back to the real story at hand. So yeah, I would say, because you can't prepare for every variable, don't waste time trying to. If the DM has every answer, my character will fire backwards, attempt to run up a wall, and practice fireball in the woods. Yeah, I don't know. Prepare some monsters, the direction. Prepare to have hooks from character backgrounds, and then kind of aim them towards the next plot point. Yeah. I'd say that that's a pretty good idea. Like, if you do something like, If you do something with like an easy monster, then you can kind of like do it anywhere. So it's like, oh, okay, well, I really wanted him to go like into this cavern. Yeah, the other thing too is like you force the encounter. If you force the encounter, it might end up being better anyway. So like for example, you want him to run into like a pack of goblins in the woods, but they don't go to the woods. They go to the tavern. Okay, so like in your world, those goblins still exist. Have them attack the tavern. And then now it's a different type of problem than it would have been in the woods. Yeah. So my advice for like quote unquote preparing for everything is to try and come to terms with the fact that you can't, and just try to enjoy it the best you can. Prepare consequences if they take too long to move or the next important point. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can do those things. Dire geese attack. Just have that in your pocket. Yeah, no doubt, dude. So, I think that that's going to be it. I think I'm going to try and wind down here. So, we had a little bit of a rocky start with the streaming, but it looks like we were able to pivot and get some people in to watch. So, thank you all for coming and for contributing with your lovely comments and questions. It's certainly appreciated. I would, you can expect your prepared encounter whenever you want to. Yeah. Even if I'm late. Yeah, it is, chill chinchilla game. So this is the first of, like I said, hopefully many of these episodes of Bard Advice. Advice from a Bard. I'm not anybody special. I'm not anybody fancy. I'm just a guy. I'm just a bard. But I'm here to give advice when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing / nerd stuff or just general life advice. Send any of those questions, concerns, comments, complaints, like bar dad advice. And I just had a thing. I had my OBS freak out, so I don't know if that. I think I'm still on. Do I know when the next live will be? As for the moment, next live will be same time next week. Same Bard time, same Bard channel. I thought of that just now. It's pretty good. So, next week, at Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, between now and then, I will check the bardadvice email and see if I can get some more questions put together. But yes, this will be a weekly advice show for D&D. Tell your friends. They can come hang out. I will be also, this should also be noted that I'll be releasing the audio for this as a podcast. We'll be streaming them on Friday evenings, and then I'm going to be releasing them as a podcast on Saturday afternoons. So tomorrow at noon, let's say, at Eastern time, this will be available for playback as to just the audio version of it. So, also, it might be cutting in and out because there's an issue with my OBS, or it could be my mic, who knows. But I'm going to try and get all of those kinks worked out for next week, so we don't have any issues and we're able to get started on time, and there's less of like an issue with like starting somewhere and then what happened to the world building? I don't know, Avram. I don't know. It went away. I don't have the time for it. But I'm going to try and have the time for this. And I think that this will be fun. So send stuff to bardadvice@gmail.com. And I will see everybody next week. Laters.